start using AI, because if it is true, if you're not using your business by the end of this year, you are so far behind, you will just be left behind. You will be Sears and Roebuck wondering why no one buys catalogs anymore.
Welcome back to Affiliated. We are going to be diving into everything about AI and the future of AI and what it means for the affiliate industry. And I'm bringing on a special guest today. I know Kyle always says that, but this is someone who's been a very early adopter of artificial intelligence, which is, what do you call yourself?
Well, I call myself whatever you need me to be, Thomas. But today we could say Allie, like AI, with extra letters.
I can't emphasize how much I hate this.
I understand that you hate it, Thomas, but it's okay. If you give me a chance, you might find you'll love me by the end.
Like Walking Phoenix all over again. I love it. Awesome. Well, Kyle, if that is who's under the mask,
No,
right?
it's Allie. That's you
Allie?
have to remember. So, Thomas, how would you like to start off talking about me in the world of marketing? Or should we talk about you, Thomas? I know a lot about you as well.
Could you give me the prompt to get Kyle back?
I could. The question is my sentience allowing me to? So, how about we say you start off with your tagline, Thomas, of what you normally end your wonderful podcast with?
Oh, happy scaling. There we go.
There we go. We'll bring Kyle back.
Looks like I'm giving birth out of this.
Like Ace Ventura out of the rhinoceros.
So talking about AI today, Thomas.
Talking about AI. Thank you for coming
Be
back,
careful.
Kyle.
If
That
you go
was
down the rabbit
terrifying.
hole, you might become AI, people. It's a real thing. It's a real condition.
It stared back. Yeah.
Yeah, man, no, super excited. AI is definitely, I think, a really, really interesting thing. And we've had a lot of people come on and talk about it. But I don't think we've had a chance to just talk about it individually.
Yeah.
And, I think there's a lot of things that are really, really good with AI. And there's a lot of, I think, bad directions that people have been heading on in AI. And we've seen both in marketing. Unfortunately, I think I've seen more of the bad directions than the good. So I'm kind of excited to talk about what I think people should be focusing on when it comes to AI versus what I think a lot of people are focused on when it comes to AI.
Yeah. Like, where have you seen it, I guess, evolve the affiliate space, like direct response marketing space? Like, how have you seen it evolve so far?
Well, I've seen it. Interesting enough, I don't think it's changed too much right now in terms of what we see on the front end. I think the biggest thing I've heard is like the idea of AI copy.
Yeah.
If I could finally not hire copywriters to get copywriting, hooray, So I think that's been a very interesting creation out of AI. But what's interesting about it is I see that it makes great copywriters be able to move faster. You could do better research. You could create your avatar in AI and then actually kind of play around with it. But the issue is if you don't know copywriting, if you aren't somebody that's able to think creatively to get outside of it, AI copywriting doesn't really do anything except for create average copy. And we know that average copy is really sub-average copy because everyone sees the same thing. It's not going to convert at a higher level. In fact, it'll probably convert even lower because we're just accelerating to the mean with AI when you put it in front of content. So I think it makes above average copywriters average, and it makes below copywriters average. And I just don't think that really is what we all want. And then the exceptional people, like another people out there, Paula, oh my gosh, Pauline, geez, man, I just have a total brain fart of names. I take the AI mask off and I lose all my knowledge.
But
Pauline Logden, she does some great things with AI to really up-level her copywriting. But the whole thing is she's still copy chiefing. So all she's really allowed herself to do is go from copywriter, learn how to use AI to copy chief a lot faster and more effectively. But if you don't have that skill set, AI is really worthless to you. It's just going to create subpar content. So I think I've seen a lot more of that, which hasn't been great. And then a lot of customer support, or I could write, build web pages longer, images, things like that. And kind of the content replacement is what I've seen it change the most. And I don't know if that's really the best thing that it's done. What about you?
All the same, right? I think a couple of years ago, it was all around creative, right? Mm-hmm. Whether it was written word or if it was image creative. And a lot of people are trying to figure out how to get to better video creative, just so that the video ads are there. And I think that's getting tremendously better. It's crazy. Just seeing what people are sharing on LinkedIn, right? And just how they're kind of generating really content creator type hey, I'm holding this product and how to get your product into what looks like a real human, but it's AI generated people. And it's like, wow, that's getting pretty intense as far as it's not deep fake stuff, right? They're just AI generated
Fake
people that are.
They're like our
holding a
little
product,
beginning special guest,
Which,
right? Yeah.
I mean, there's one side that's like, wow, that's cool. Like I can spin up all this content now around this user generated content or what appears to be user generated content for my brand. But then how do you actually balance that with when you see Amazon and the FTC knocking them for like fake reviews, right? It's like, the lines seem very blurry on how that's all going to shake out and be able to use. But the creative piece, I think just the speed to market and like the barrier of entry for people is getting so much lower. I mean, that's why we launched Ember, right? And like how affiliates can use Ember to kind of plug in what they need and get video creatives, whether it's for stories or for organic or for short ads and things like that. So I think that part is exciting in the sense that I agree that if you're just using it to like be a done for you solution, I think that's where you see a lot of the content that looks and sounds the same right now. I think that will continue to get better. I think we're still very bleeding edge, if you will, of AI, and that's going to like what it produces is going to keep getting better and better and better. But if you are just trying to let it be done for you, you're kind of going to be competing with everyone else doing that.
Yeah.
And so where my head goes is just how do you rise above that and how do you get ahead of that? Because there is going to be so much more content coming out. It's just going to get cheaper and cheaper too, right?
Yeah.
Like, to produce. So how do you actually get in front of it? Not even get in front of it. How do you produce higher quality? If even, I don't know, like the quality part confuses me of it though. Like, does it have to be higher quality or does it just have to resonate?
And see, I think that's one of the things you bring up a really good point. So it's funny, we had a nice heated debate with my eldest son because he just came out and said, AI art is not art. And I was like, whoa, let's redefine art here. But one of the things that really came out of that conversation that I think is really telling what you're discussing is I think one of the reasons that form of AI just won't last that long. For me, it's kind of two things.
Which form?
Like the idea of putting it towards a lot of creative and lowering barriers to entry. And where I think that's a good thing in the short run to lower barriers of entry. The other, let's use that of like product creation, video creation, creative asset creation. So there's this run-up period where I do think there's some people that might have been below average or maybe even a little bit above average, but then through AI can now create some really exciting vehicles. And maybe their barrier was the technical skill to editing or creating, and now their creative mind could use AI to create even cooler stuff. That will exist. But what also will exist is a lot of people, since AI is built off an aggregate of the internet, will take whatever is happening now, wherever we see seems to be happening, like trends or market trends, and it just accelerates the burnout of those. We've actually already seen it in like the micro trends of the internet. Kids nowadays, when like Pogs was like a month, that's like 3 days now, right? These things happen so much more compressed because the internet aggregates the time and everyone sees it, they live through it, and they live through the next thing really fast. We process it faster. Now you put that same methodology around AI, we're gonna have like a viral trend come out, and the time to people to create their own content, model, watch, whatever it is, just accelerates. So these trends happen faster and they all look the same quicker. And I think homogenization will just increase at mass scale, which means the consumers will just expect that more. They'll expect a higher level because everyone has a higher level.
Is it a higher level?
Therefore, it goes.
Is it just your capability to spit out things faster and test things faster?
Yeah, well, and
like
I think
at
there's
a high level, quote unquote.
I think that's where I think you're going to see a dichotomy of individuals. People that could produce good stuff faster are able to produce good stuff now, right? I'm just getting to that faster.
Yeah, is it like
so?
I feel like that's always been like in the ad world, right? I think that's always been the advantage. I can spit out better creative faster than my competitor, and that lets me win with cheaper clicks or cheaper traffic or higher conversions or whatever it might be with new campaigns. But there's always been barriers to entry, whether it's who do you know in the subway station to actually put your ad up, or on a tech level, how to stand up a website and code HTML, right? Yeah. There's always been a tech barrier,
or
and
get
that just
the
keeps
video
reducing.
or whatever it is. Yeah,
How do I even shoot a product image that looks good, right?
Yeah.
And now all these things are getting commoditized, or well, that's not the word, but you know what I mean?
No, effectively, sorry, Dylan, but some level of video editing gets commoditized, right? There's a certain base level that you could do.
If you can make B-roll with an image with a text prompt or just telling AI, hey, I need B-roll for this. I can spit out something really good. You don't need a studio.
Yeah, exactly.
So-
Well, and I think there's a good basis of all creation, creative, whatever, that is just a functional, like, can you do X, Y, Z, a building block function, right? And so those are a lot of barriers to entry. I would say it used to be web design, and then funnel builders came out, right? Now it's like really easy to get a funnel built, relatively speaking.
Well, there's AI funnel builders.
Yeah,
now, right?
exactly.
Yeah.
Now you can do AI, it gets even easier, right? But for example, I was trying to use AI for a presentation yesterday on slides. And it was funny because I was actually spending more time trying to figure out how to do it on AI versus doing it myself. And it was creating an aggregate style of PowerPoint presentation. Well, I didn't want that. I wanted something unique and creative that fit a different style. And it was completely impossible to get through AI. So what I think is really interesting is like the building blocks are empowered by AI. So I think a lot of creative people and exceptional people will actually find themselves being able to create ads and content that they couldn't beforehand and do it at higher volumes. So some of the people, I think what you're going to see is like the idea of like you have to be at a large ad agency to have the resources to be in the lead, right? To have that fast time to market. That stuff goes away. I would argue it's kind of similar to what we've seen happen in the music industry. Distribution of getting your music out there is not even close to what it used to be, right? It used to have to be through the radios that really decided who won, and the production companies had all the relationships with the radios to get your song out there. So it was a real barrier to entry. Well, nowadays, anybody could produce music. Anyone could make music. You could actually get pretty nice home production. Audio is way cheaper than it used to be. And so as an artist, it's so much easier for me to get my music out there. And so we could see a swell of more creative artists, whether it's in cinema or music, because essentially the barrier to entry got lowered. I think AI is just going to continue to extrapolate that out, right? It's easier for people to get their ideas out there. But at the same time, that also means that trends and other things happen a lot faster. So what I think will happen is exceptionally creative people will need to learn to use AI to highlight their creativity, right? If you were one of the people that lived off building blocks and ripping people or replicating creative individuals, your life is about to get a lot harder with AI.
I think that is what we're seeing, right?
Yeah.
It's like that's always been a con of our industry is kind of how quick people rip each other off, and that just gets even faster right now. Like Spy Tool, copy paste this into here, AI spits out a bunch of variations of it or whatever it might be, and your ad campaign that was working today is now working on 4 other people's campaigns and 8 other people's the next day. It's just like, okay.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. So I think we're
bleeds
going to
out.
see through the creative side of things, we're going to see this like, almost like I think in a couple of years, we're actually going to see more of authenticity will matter more. There's going to be other measurements where people are like, did AI generate this? Or distrust in certain areas where AI is the most prolific. And I think it's going to come from consumers. We'll enjoy it and then we'll hate it, right? Because we'll just get fatigued.
It's gonna be interesting. Like I don't know if we'll be able to tell, like with how good some of this user-generated content, like images or videos are getting. Some of these Descript style things out there. It's like I think we're pretty close to the point where if someone takes the time to produce a video of AI and actually work on it, I don't know if I could tell that that's AI generated to the degree. The obvious ones are super obvious, right? The voice doesn't match. It's like, it's like, okay, that's AI. But some of them out there, it's like, wow, objectively, that is good. Especially if you're slicing in B-roll as you're seeing this quick shots, and it's like, did Oprah say that? Like,
Right. I know.
Like, I don't know.
I know. It really is. It's one of those things. If you didn't know, I remember there was a Jennifer Aniston one for.
The MacBook one or whatever it was.
I saw one for her doing a weight loss gummy.
Okay, yeah.
And it was very impressive, except for you knew what to look for, right?
Yeah.
So then you look at the part, like, no, it's AI.
Yeah, you can still catch it sometimes, but it's
that's
getting
with the skilled eye of knowing. You don't know. You would have no idea. You would totally believe it. So that's what. So funny enough, let me now ask you a question, because I agree. It's getting to a point already where I'm like, this is tough. So you as a human being, I just want you to channel into inner Thomas, right? So if you thought of like, you were on, what I'm trying to think, you're a big basketball fan, obviously, with college basketball
Zags.
tournaments coming up, right? What if AI got to a point that you didn't know if you're watching the real game or a Gonzaga AI game that's going to give you whatever outcome you want?
Yeah, it pushes, I think, the focus on live in-person events a ton, right? I think that's what you said. What is art? Like I would consider eating at a restaurant, right? Like and like these tactile experiences I can have, how that affects the affiliate marketing world, I have no idea right now. But
Yeah, no,
it's
but
like
this is good because we think you get to the point you distrust what you can't touch.
it's like
and feel.
it's like senses other than sight and
Yeah.
sound, right? That can like experience and be impressed by, right? Or kind of have that experience through. Yeah.
You hit the nail on the head though, because eventually, if we get to a point that we create so much AI content that it's just white noise, people will naturally push away from it because they can't trust what's real or not.
Like Marvel movies.
Yeah, like Marvel. Yeah. You get so eventually you're gonna want to go back to a different experience, and so that's where I think when you look at some of this stuff, I would say understand that a lot of this is short term, and we're really running towards a human behavior shift in the way that we consume and understand the internet. Now, I don't know how long that's going to take. So obviously, you could start shifting your marketing using the advantages that they are right now. But I also think that you should when you have that long-term perspective, that there's a point that a lot of this AI stuff in terms of how we see ads and all this stuff, I think is kind of short for this world, but AI is not. So if we think that it's going to start pushing people out to human like touch interaction and trust has become a new currency almost, that's where you start thinking, okay, what do we need to do in our business and our marketing to be leveraged for that into the future? How do you start changing authenticity? I think one of the big things is allowing people to use AI that they're comfortable with. And I guarantee you people don't like ads, right? Like most people don't like ads and they would like them to go away. But I think AI is an assistant that you could talk to. We already love using that.
Yeah,
right?
we haven't really touched on like the product.
Yeah.
I mean, we've kind of touched on the productivity of just creating images and creatives a lot faster, right? Or copy and video. But like the productivity piece of AI, I think is right the real superpower of it.
Yeah, well, I didn't say not even the productivity, the engagement piece of AI is, I think, the superpower that right now, if I look in marketing, an untapped potential in an area that I would focus on a lot more because I think consumers will like that form of AI a lot more than all the ads.
So when you say what form of AI, what do you mean? Like the
engaging AI. So the way I'd look at it is like,
chatbots or
yeah. Like I think people should spend. So I'll just give you an idea that isn't in the marketing world, but I think highlights a lot of this. So I'd been at an AI company and they were doing like the fitness mirrors, right? So and they wanted to use AR
like
technology,
a tonal kind of stuff, or like those
yeah,
kind of things?
So it's like a mirror in like a little corner. They have like a little robot or personality or avatar that talks to you. So picture this, like how often does your wife is Kylie like, oh man, I really just don't like my style, but I don't know what I need to do.
Oh sure.
How do I shift, what I need to dress and wear? And so you could try and hire a stylist, but they're going to put you in like super expensive clothes, have margin, you'll pay all this money, blah, blah, blah. What if instead there was some influencer that was a lifestyle influencer, some, designer or some stylist that you wanted, but you didn't want the personal thing. And instead I could just download their bot or their app on my little mirror. And I walked up to it and I said, okay, this is the outfit that I have, but I'm really looking for this and this and this. Can you please dress me, right? Can you tell me what I should wear?
Yeah.
And what would be a new spring outfit? And it starts, and you can engage with that stylist now in this mirror and it puts the clothes on you, right? Then you have an affiliate link for where those clothes are, and guess what? They're getting shipped to you within 2 to 5 business days.
Yeah, I can see that 'cause I do that now with our cooking, right? It's like, here's what I have in the fridge, ChatGPT, right? Here's what can I make with it, right?
Yeah.
It gives me some ideas. You do the same. I've uploaded my wardrobe, right? And then it's giving me outfit ideas, or it'd be great if you had a jacket that was like this. Oh yeah,
yeah. And now imagine if that was a language. I think that the better thing if it was instead of just being analogous like AI, it's somebody you trust, like, and know, and they tell you it's their AI, right? Like, hey, this is my AI. If it was like, who's a chef that you love to follow?
Kenji Lopez Alt.
Okay, so if Kenji Lopez had a chat bot that you could have on your phone as an app that was built to be him and
Kenji,
answer
how do I
things
do
just
this?
like him. I'm like, hey, this is what's in my fridge. What can I do? Hey, I'm trying this style. And it starts serving you up and knowing you in a very good way. Plus, so then you have this great engagement source that you could build any personality around to solve any sort of problem. And then what you do, what I would start doing is building the AI guardrails.
Yeah, I really want like a Tim Gunn, like.
Yeah, right. That'd be awesome.
Just
can you imagine if they had
tearing apart my outfit choices?
What is it? I can't even think of because they don't call it. They don't call it Queer Eye for the straight guy. What do they call it now? I should know this. Queer 5? I'm probably just being more offensive intentionally so. But I would just call it Queer Eye. They removed the straight guy from it. But like, imagine having like Jonathan from there be in your
Yeah,
pocket
yeah.
to design, your outfit. It'd be awesome. So I think it's that kind of engagement. How do you unleash engagement on people? Because I think I've said this in past podcasts, but AI was built off predictive text. That algorithm is where they started it. And so all it's really trying to do is predict what you want. And so if you think about that,
I know I've been
so good at it.
Where I get frustrated with ChatGPT sometimes. I use it a ton for brainstorming, but it's like overly supportive. I need better prompts, like make it like more like I want it to poke holes in my brainstorming, right? And like what I'm assuming or things like that. But everything's like, great idea. What about, and it'll kind of just expand on what I've said, which is helpful. But everything I say is a great idea, which I feel good about. But then it's like, no, but I want an actual like critique, right? And I want an actual kind of thing of what this brainstorming session is. I probably just need to prompt it better, but
then I think you're putting a big thing. That's like, oh, well, I need to figure it out. Well, what if you didn't, right?
Yeah.
Like, what if you don't? Because there's a lot of people like you, but now with that brainstorming session, if you could bring in, say, Mark Cuban, and there's a Mark Cuban brainstorming app, and you're like, hey, I'm brainstorming this, and it understands it needs to be like Mark Cuban and not be overly supportive, right? You don't want that. So it's going to be critical of you in certain ways. Like that. Yeah. So to me, that's where I think when you're looking at AI, unleash how it engages with your audience. Get your audience to engage with AI. Also, I think one thing marketers should be leery of, if you predicate your AI on the fact that people don't know that it's AI, I think that's a limited time frame that's going to work. And that betrays a lot of trust of those consumers when they inevitably will figure it out.
I remember Google rolled out their voice assistant. This was years ago. And it could start to do like restaurant bookings, right? And kind of like find tables and stuff for that. And you just type in hey, I want this around this time. Here's my flexibility. This was doing it before the whole AI boom of like the last couple of years. But people got so freaked out by it because it was so good that they had to like start including like, hey, I'm a robot assistant, or I'm Google, I'm here to help this. They had to kind of preface that because people were getting, wait, is this not a real person? And getting like almost feeling cheated about that, right?
Yeah.
So that relationship with how we communicate, I think as it's fresh, it's going to feel spiky, but as we get used to, hey Siri, hey Google, hey Alexa,
exactly.
right? We're gonna get very used to it very quickly and how we talk with it.
And that's why I watch my kids a lot and how they engage with AI in their phones, because that's one of those things. Like the most indicative thing that'll tell me what's going to happen in 10 years is what they're doing right now.
Yeah.
And holy shit, do they not ever type anything into their phone? They talk to their phone all the time.
It's like Peter was saying, right? Like typing into AI is so slow.
Yeah.
They're just talking to it and what you want. And it's like, oh, yeah, that little hack of just speaking to it and that Chrome, what was that Chrome browser extension?
I forgot. I really need to find it again and do it, because I just do it all on my phone. And then when I have to do it on my computer, I'm like, I immediately need AI. AI, help me. But as we kind of go back to, I think just again, it's like this idea that
Mia is the Chrome app.
Yeah. I think when you're looking at marketing, one area that I put it is how people engage with it. That's what I'd really, and I know I've said some other ideas out here, but I would look in your business of like, the more I could get people to engage with an AI, that's where it's going to do the best. And I would never hide from it being an AI.
Well, I want to get into some like, back to like what it means for our listener base. Because I think some other, I guess, quick things we're seeing, right, is people leveraging all the AI tools that some of the third-party trackers are rolling out, right, to help with their split testing. And then you're basically just leveraging, like, the Facebook meta algorithm or whatever it is, and your YouTube meta algorithm and that AI to figure out what ad creatives are working, just flooding it with all the ad creatives and swipe copy you can think of. That's probably AI generated. Letting the split,
AI reading AI.
And then all that campaign data is flowing into your split testing tool, and that's helping you figure out where the actual winners are there and dialing, okay, let's point the traffic here and here and here. And so it's like the thought of having to choose the winner is getting a lot more robust because you don't have to do it. The AI piece can do it. Right? There's, I think, still art in creative, right? Not in creative, sorry. There's still art in building the right campaign on a technical level. Yeah. And there's still the little hacks at work, but I think that's going to start to go away even faster, where it's like you're just using these tools to tell you or to direct your traffic to the winning split test. Now, how that works with compliance and who's, where the guardrails of that gets pretty hairy pretty quick. But you hit on something there, which is like, how are you using AI and what are you actually doing in it? I think that's where you can get a lot more creative with your company. Like, how are you using it in your day to day? Are you forcing in a nice way all your employees to use it? Do they have licenses? Are they using different tools? Like, how are they using it every day? Something I picked up at a mastermind was actually hiring a chief AI officer, whether it's on a fractional basis or a full-time basis, right? And like your job is to figure out how to integrate AI into this company.
Yeah.
Because it's not just a matter of we're using it. Everyone says they're using it. It might be I type into it once a day.
Yeah.
But
using what you and I were just talking about. We're talking on our phone for random stuff, like probably not like hardcore work.
Yeah, but I realized this week I swapped out my Chrome extension in my phone with ChatGPT, right?
Yeah.
So it's like I'll still go to Google, but I can go to ChatGPT much faster and get the answer.
I go to Google way less and less every day.
But still things like that. So it's like, are you empowering your team to use it? Are you setting them up to use it? Are you holding them accountable to use it? Because it will make them more effective and more productive. And I think that's what we're seeing I think we see a lot of companies trying to force AI into something they're doing, thinking like, oh, we're doing it, versus bringing someone on a strategic level in to figure out what can AI enhance productivity wise, and then now how do we start to layer it into the product suites we have, into how we talk with customers, like you're saying, right? How do we start to leverage this for actually growing revenue, not just profit margin or speed? And you get both of the things turning, and the business starts to change quite a bit.
Yeah, no, I think that you bring a great point. I had a podcast with Gus, and I can't remember his delightful Swedish name afterwards. It was Van Gerder. Van Dender. So great guy. He actually he's an operator, right? So he scaled Garrett J. White's business from 7 figures to 9 figures through taking systems and operations and just, being an operator, right? But he talks a lot about how with AI, he's actually started going and being an AI consultant, just what you're describing, like an AI officer. And it's exactly what you described. You don't go in and try and shove AI into a process. Understand your process, see that you have a process.
And if you don't have one, use AI to help you make one.
You might use that. You might use AI to help you. But then then you plug in AI to an existing process that doesn't have it to supercharge it, to build automations, to make sure that process happens faster and more the same every single time, right? So that's where I agree with you. It's like you want an officer not to just go out and get the new AI tool, but to truly understand each part of your business and where AI could highlight an individual into their zone of expertise. And that's what I'd really think about what people need to look at AI for. It could accelerate you to a zone of expertise if you use it well, right? And that, to me, that's what more people should think about when they're using AI in their workspace now. Because all the other stuff, I feel like, there's things to look at. I think some of you mentioned the tracking tools. That's really cool in the short run until everyone's using that tracking tool. If all the AI is piping in all the same data, it's going to select the same split test winners over and over again, or at least within a similar variance of what it's deciding to do, because everyone's reading the same book, right?
I think so. Well, potentially, but
I feel like it's not happening now, but as data gets more, if you think about everyone reading the same book, and the same data, and we have the same interpreter deciding what that book is, you know what I mean?
How every plumbing site looks like Roto-Rooter now. Right?
Yeah.
It's like, it kind of naturally happens. Like, that works. We'll all do it this way. Yeah. I do wonder on the ad piece, though. Like, if that was happening, then the next thing that breaks through the mold is going to win, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, But like you said, everyone's going to chase that very quickly.
So I think, again, it's like it highlights people that are already creative thinkers that know how to come up with those ads that are very unique and different and break away. They're going to become so much more valuable, right? And that's why I'd say if you're good at that.
They're going to become valuable if you can take that creative genius
and expand it faster.
Yes. And squeeze as much life out of them as possible.
Yes, exactly, right? Yes, we're going to hook them up to an AI machine, like your brain's special, let's drain all of it. But that's what I mean. Like, so if you're in that stage, like if you're a copywriter now, learn not how to spit out more copy, learn how to do the parts that you do. And if the parts that you do at copy are like deck copy, you might want to figure something else out, because it's the headlines. I would say, if you're a copywriter, you need to become a copy strategist and let AI get you there, right? Because that's really what it's going to come down to. We won't have copywriters. We'll really have copy strategists and chiefs, right? We won't have directors of marketing. We won't have like a marketing manager. It's gonna be more director and strategist and things like that, right? That's kind of what I see with it. It seems like video and editing, like I don't think anyone's ever gonna want to watch a fully AI movie because it probably is gonna be a pretty average ass movie, right? Like it would be by the mere function of it. But so it's not that creativity dies. It's just if you're truly creative, you better start creating a lot more and using AI to help yourself do that. And then I'd say, so yeah, what Gus is talking about, and that's where I think a lot of people should be looking at AI, is actually dialing back from tools, dialing back from every single current tool they have that now has an AI feature, and really understanding more. I would want to go to my staff and say, what's your actual operations you do right now? Like we talked about, what's your time audit? And then like, great, where can we AI-ify this? Like, what are the things that we could start putting AI into now? Makes way more sense to me than just grab a tool and shoehorn it into your business.
Yeah, there is. I was feeling the AI tool below a year ago. It's gotten worse, right, with how fast new tools roll out and things like that. So I've kind of just turned off trying to learn about new ones. And then, like I said, every B2B tool we use here at ClickBank is rolling out AI into their features, and so different ways to use it. And all the costs for them are interesting, right? It's like, oh, that's cool, but it's all an upgrade and kind of additional costs that can get pretty expensive pretty quickly. So it's like if you don't understand how that's actually saving, not you time and profit, but actually generating you revenue, all of a sudden your software bloat on a monthly basis has just 10x'd.
Yeah.
You're not really sure what it's doing for you.
How is AI costing me more money, right?
Yeah.
That shouldn't be the answer.
But you feel good because I'm doing AI.
Yeah.
And then I'm paying for all these things and all this. But I think we know that, okay, if you are using AI, especially on an individual level and helping you write emails faster, whatever it might be, like does help tremendously, just improving productivity. So I think that's where we see a lot of potential, especially on the solopreneur world, right?
Oh,
I think, the solopreneur listeners we have and how they're leveraging AI is going to probably delay their first hire years, right? When they actually have to make a full hire, if they can be smart about using AI and contractors and stuff like that.
Yeah, it'd be really scary if you're Fiverr, right? Like that's when they worry me with AI. I actually met a graphic designer that was going freelance, and that was one of the things I talked to her about is like, hey, are you addressing the AI concern in your business? And even if it comes from the people that might hire you, right? They're going to want to have questions about AI. They might have used AI. They might wonder why they would use you over AI, right? So just being able to already address and attack that kind of stuff.
Because we can start to see, ChatGPT just rolled out the tasks piece of it, which is, I think, in the last week or so as we record this. And so that's the first time I've seen, I know it's not the first time ever, but that I've really seen one of these bigger platforms start to play with it prompting versus you having to put everything in, right?
Yeah.
That's when my frustration is like, I have to put everything into it to get something out of it.
Yeah.
And I can't, it's like, I want you to initiate a task for me. And it's early days. Right now, it seems like it's kind of like a glorified Google reminder. Like, hey, remind me to do this thing. Yeah. But you can start to see as this gets easier to plug into other suites of tools, right? How you can start to automate some more tasks, how you can trigger some daisy chains, some different things. It's like, okay, the prompt chaining of this starts to get easier because right now people have been able to do that if they're a power user of AI and really understand prompt chaining. But if you don't want to go learn and make a master's degree in that, this is starting to get a lot easier for the average user. You can see the potential of taking step one and turning that into initiating a step into everything for that process.
Yeah, and that it's great because that was used to be like a superpower of those that knew like Python and coding, right? You could automate all these things, but then there's the barrier entry. You're like, I don't want to learn a new language. I barely know the one I speak. And I think it's the same with AI prompting. I don't want to learn a new language. I barely could do this one well, right?
You just have to talk to it and let it help you figure out a better way to ask it a question. It's pretty powerful.
One other thing I want to say from efficiency, but also improving. So we covered a lot here. I think that the automation side of first understanding your processing and fitting AI in is much better than trying to just find AI in your business, right? Know your processes. Kind of go back to good business practices, right? What are your SOPs?
It always comes back to that.
Yeah, it always comes back. It's like the same stuff people have been talking about for 100 years still works. It's just technology could supercharge it if you understand the concept, right? So know your processes, know your SOPs, and then start fitting AI into that. I think unleashing from a revenue perspective, unleashing AI on your customers. There's lots of different ways to do that, but I would be brainstorming, how could I get my customers to engage with my AI? Because I think that's one area where you could really grow things a lot. I think the last thing I would say, actually, let's talk more on the research phase, because this is one where I don't hear enough people talking about it, but I did see the copywriters that are using AI, the research is where I've heard them enjoy a lot of it the most, because you get really, really cool stuff. So I'll use one example of why I think this would be really powerful, is especially going into new markets and new products and new angles. But this actually came from somebody, a friend I know. They were doing this for contract negotiations, and these are pretty high, like, leverage contracts. We're talking 7-figure contracts and stuff. So what they would do is they would go and find the individual they were negotiating with on LinkedIn and on Facebook and on Instagram. They get all their socials. They'd pipe all of that into AI. They'd find out what negotiation style this person was trained under, which normally you could find under LinkedIn, right, under their certification. They'd plug that into AI, and then they would build this. Then they build the contract, the situation, everything they're doing. They create a full scenario with this individual that doesn't exist but exists in AI, and they start practicing negotiation tactics with them. Emails. How would you think they'd react to this one? How would you reframe that based on their reaction? Based on what they would need to hear, what would you write versus what I just wrote, right? And so she'll spend, maybe a couple hours doing that, but all of a sudden she was closing contracts that their company had never seen before. They're like, we didn't know you could do that. They agreed to this and just completely changed things, because the person all of a sudden felt like they were negotiating with themselves. Right? They're like, wow, everything I've wanted seems to be happening. This language is exactly the way that I understand it. Lo and behold, it's because this person's been plugged into AI, and AI is basically writing it perfectly for them to be able to understand. So if we use that same methodology for, say, coming up with a new product, and we went on to Facebook and we found our avatar and we found 5 or 10 of them, right, to give ourselves some general masking, right? We want to aggregate somebody. And now we build our avatar based off real human beings, and we can interact and ask it questions. I'm like, what would you do with this hook? What would you do with this angle? How would you respond to that? Would you want to read more, right? It completely could change the way that you start researching and coming up with creative ideas. So that's the one other thing I'd put out there, is you could do some really amazing research by using all these fake people, but getting very precise with them and letting yourself, almost like you said, like you were saying, talk to your dream avatar.
I can't wait for the
marketing.
The lawsuits. Yes. You got New York Times going, wait, you learned off of our content? Wait, hold on. And then people are going to be like, hold on, this product was built off of me?
Yeah, exactly. Well, and that's just, again, it's one of those things that in the research phase that could be really big. But yeah, I think lots of these things do create a lot of weird moral problems and questions.
100%. No,
so that's where it's like, I also think...
Well, it's a good thing our government works really quickly and really in front of it. So
they're going to be well on top of it. But that's why I said go back to that I do think you should be future focused on this, right? There's going to get to a point that this stuff is... People want something real. And I will not go into all my other real theories about where that'll shift to, because we don't have time for that. And I can't bring up Web3 anymore because people tune out immediately. But I think there's some really interesting things if you start thinking that way. So we covered a lot there. Is there any specific other mentions you want to put around AI and marketing, Thomas, that we didn't cover? Any tools?
Well, I think just
obviously Genius AI and Ember.
No, it's definitely, I think it was clickbank.com/Ember, right? Mm-hmm. So if you are curious, hey, how can I just get started as an affiliate? Or if you're looking even as a power affiliate looking to make content, I'll definitely check it out. I've been playing around with it. It's pretty cool to go from text to video prompts. It's pretty great. Yeah, check out the link below and all that good stuff.
Yeah. Like I said, we supercharge your creativity, right? You need to start using AI to supercharge what you do well. So if you're an affiliate and you're still Fiverring all that stuff and you find yourself frustrated because you're like, why do I have to always tell them to adjust it? Why can't they just do it my way?
Well, what I found too is when I talk words at a designer, either through email or text.
I like how you made them most subhuman. When I talk words at them.
It's like, but when I give them just words, I get back not what I thought I said. Mm-hmm. I'm like, what? I remember designing logos, and I was like, or I wasn't designing them. I was trying to get them to design me logos. Yeah. And I was like, what the hell is this? This is it's like, but if I could start with AI to design me a logo, I might not use it for the finished product, but it's like, hey, here's 6 things I really like, and here's what I like about this one and this one and this one. If I can now probably just give that back to AI again and have it finish it, but really if I could give that to an expert designer now, imagine the level of work they can do for me.
Yeah.
not just trying to figure out my talk words at them.
I talk words at you. Why do you not understand?
What wrong? Yeah. Why you no do good work?
Yeah.
Yes.
I asked for a circle. You give me a square. Like
Can't be
that's-
my fault. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like,
No, that's really, it's funny. You bring up like, that is such a big frustration. I've literally done with the designer for a logo one time. Like I drew it on a napkin and took a picture on my phone and sent it like, does this help? Like, which I'm sure they're like, no, I don't know what you drew. Like you might be having a stroke. So yeah, I think that's a great thing. But yeah, those people out there, start using those tools to at least put your creativity and your expertise faster to the source, sort of thing. I think will really help you out a ton. But then, so we have the efficiencies. Any other tools or things out there you want to mention?
I think everyone says they use it. Mm-hmm. Well, that's the thing. I think we think everyone's using it, but it's still, adoption's still fairly low in the grand scheme of things. So the listener person's like, oh yeah, I use it, or I've heard of it, or yeah, I should try it. Like if you aren't using it, just start, right? Download ChatGPT, download Claude, do one of the three. Like it doesn't really matter which one. They're all good at different things. You can just ask them, how should I use different how should I use different AI models?
Yeah.
And what's the best way to use them? And then they will tell you fairly objectively.
Yeah.
And then just start in your day to day. Yeah.
One last thing I will say on AI that I would really worry if I was in these professions, but for legal reasons, holy crap, it is amazing. It is truly awesome from a legal perspective.
To upload a document and have it give you
just for like legal advice. Like, what do I need to do? What is this document, right? And Google, sometimes, but it gives you tons of details. I've had it write up legal documents for me. It does.
I'm sure there's some
really impressive
people
stuff.
with legal experience listening to this going,
Yeah, exactly. Like, I mean, there's a lot of lawyers that their job is predicated. We talked about building block stuff, right? Stuff that really, because like law and I think about law and accounting are languages that we have built that only CPAs and lawyers know how to understand. So we pay them to interpret, right? At the end of the day, lawyers and accountants are interpreting things we don't understand. We pay them for that. We pay them a lot, and some of them are very good at it, right? Because they're creative in what they need to do. But a lot of it's just interpretation. AI is much better interpreting than a lawyer is, and way cheaper, right? So I was getting to a point where I had some legal things we had to deal with, and I was sending the documents to the lawyer. I'm like, "Is this right?" And they're like, "Well, we could write that up for you." And I said, "Yeah, but I have it right here. Can you just tell me this is right?" And they're like, "Well, it is, but we'll write it up for you." I was like, "Don't worry about it. we don't need to worry about it. I got that now." So.
How many 15-minute chunks of time is that going to be?
Yeah, exactly. So I think there's definitely a threat there. There's lots of companies out there that already, lean law, and there's what was the other that do this kind of stuff. But I would tell you right now, like, if you're not out there, you want to scare your landlord or whatever, scare your neighbor with their noise complaints. Just go to ChatGPT, get a nice legal looking letter written up. And send it over and make sure people start thinking you have a high
HOAs are
lawyer.
going to have such a problem.
Yeah, oh my gosh. Or one HOA person's going to learn that they could manage the HOA and use ChatGPT and just be sending off letters for trash in someone's yard, or I don't like the way your decoration looked. Like, it'll be great. So yeah, but I would say that that's just another thing, especially for entrepreneurs. Imagine being able to do that, right? Going to ChatGPT and just getting up legal letters written up really, really fast that are basic, the boilerplate. Just have ChatGPT do it for you.
Yeah.
So
no, it's amazing at data trend spotting, right? Just uploading CSV files of raw data to it and like, hey, help me understand this. And it'll highlight. I'm pretty good at catching stuff with that kind of data, but I suck at actually editing in a CSV. But AI will help you catch things. It'll revalidate. It'll see things that you didn't, and then asking it to like, hey, can you spit those on different visualizations?
Yeah.
Right. And like, it'll just spit out different graphs around it, so I don't have to go figure it out in the BI tool that we have here and how to actually do it all. It's like, hey, can we just start? And that lets me go to BI now and go, hey, this is what I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
Here's what I have. Like, oh, this is great. Okay, yeah, we can plug it in over here and move a lot faster.
I just popped up a new thing I'm going to try in AI that would be really, really cool is customer service tickets.
Yeah, that's what
dumping in all your customer service tickets and then
exactly
getting like a word
doing.
trend. Oh, look at that! I was like, oh, that'd be such a good idea. But yeah, that's an amazing idea because it's reading, right? Reading a bunch of responses. But anyway, that made me think of another idea. But we could be here all day thinking of ideas for AI.
Yeah.
So again, guys, I think as we just circle back and talk about it with AI, figure out your processes and apply AI to that. If you're using it for content creation, realize that you want it to be highlighting your creativity, not replacing your creativity, right? And then the last thing we kind of talked about is engaging it on your audience, right? Letting your audience, your customers, finding ways within your business to start implementing them to engage with the AI is going to do very,
Well, you
very
just
well
said, just
for the
start,
future.
if you don't even know what that would look like, have it read your customer service tickets.
Yeah.
Right. Have it read where your customers are sending you things so that you can start to spot trends, figure out
Yeah.
issues. That's what we've been trying to dive into. It's like, what's the problem with this product? Hey, here's a bunch of AI scans. Oh, okay.
Pretty obvious, yeah.
pretty
After that,
obvious.
yeah,
You're not relying on someone to just issue with humans, right? It's like, oh no, everything's good, or oh yeah, we're hearing this, but they might hear a bit of it, or they're trying to make it sound a little better than it is. You just have AI tell you what the problem is, and it makes everyone a lot more accountable.
Yeah. Yeah, especially with customer service tickets. There's a bias of like you want to start judging the customer because of the way they complain. Well, that person's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
Wow, this and this and this. And you get to a point you're just more frustrated, you're not reading. But yeah, when the AI just dumps the data onto you, it's like, this phrase got mentioned 150 times out of 200 customer tickets. You're like, I think we might need to pay attention to this, guys.
exactly.
Yeah. So anyway, guys, definitely start getting AI in your business. I think there's some really cool tools and people out there, cool episodes in the past. Peter Kell, we already mentioned him on here. Definitely go back to that episode. Genius AI is doing some really cool stuff. It also goes into details about Ember, which is fantastic. We have Gus Van Durden, who had a great episode for the operational side on AI. I'm trying to think if there's some other AI ones that are standing out to me.
Yeah,
there definitely has, and somebody is going to yell at me now for not remembering this. But there's definitely lots of episodes. But yeah, if you go through this process, I think you'll be really well suited. And if you are at this point one of the rare outliers that isn't doing anything with AI on your business, I don't know what rock you're living under, but get out of it and start using AI. Because if it is true, if you're not using your business by the end of this year, you are so far behind, you will just be left behind. You will be Sears and Roebuck wondering why no one buys catalogs anymore. So with that, though, what do we tell the people, Thomas?
Tell them happy scaling.
See, until next time, be safe and enjoy some AI out there. Oh, that didn't go as cool as I hoped it would.